Okay, good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us for a DataXchange webinar titled Data Display, Evolving Your Shop Floor with the Modern Smart Factory. It is a little bit after 11 Mountain Standard Time here in Colorado, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Normally, we give it about 5 minutes for any late arrivals. However, we have a lot to cover in this morning's webinar, so we're just going to go ahead and get started. First off, if you guys have any questions during any of this, feel free to type the questions out into the Zoho Q&A section, and Scytec DataXchange product specialist Chris Hamlin will answer them. There's also going to be a section at the end we'll have as well. First up, I'd like to go over the order of events for this morning's webinar, starting off with first the Minitab acquisition of Scytec. Then we're going to be discussing what is DataXchange and also Data Display, what shop floor events you can track with Data Display, how you get connected to the DataXchange service with your shop floor equipment, areas to define for use with Scytec DataXchange, the DataXchange applications, manufacturing charts and dashboards, and then the big thing of this webinar is going to be a demonstration of Data Display, which is our browser and mobile-based reporting tool for Scytec DataXchange machine monitoring. And then finally, at the end of it, we will discuss some resources for further outreach. First up, we're going to be discussing Minitab and Scytec. Minitab LLC, a global leader in data management, predictive analytics, and process improvement solutions, announced the acquisition of Scytec on January 20th, 2026. This acquisition strengthens Minitab's end-to-end manufacturing solutions by expanding shop floor data to capturing and delivering deeper operational insight through real-time equipment intelligence. And some of the other products under Minitab shingle include ProLink and Simulate. And in the future, you can look forward to some cool integration between DataXchange and these products, especially ProLink. We're going to be doing some interesting things in the realm of CMM machine monitoring. So as part of the Minitab family, DataXchange is now connected to something much larger than a single solution. When we talk about the Minitab umbrella, we're really talking about a connected ecosystem of solutions that support data analysis, process improvement, real-time monitoring, quality planning, and digital transformation. DataXchange strengthens the real-time visibility layer of that ecosystem with machine monitoring by providing a complete path from shop floor data to strategic decision-making. Minitab also operates on a global scale, supporting organizations worldwide. Minitab has offices and teams across North America, Europe, Asia Pacific, which means local support backed by global expertise. You're not just gaining new tools with Minitab, you're gaining access to a global organization committed to quality and continuous improvement. So, what is DataXchange machine monitoring and also Data Display? Scytec DataXchange is a real-time monitoring and shop floor data collection platform that helps manufacturers understand exactly what their equipment is doing at any moment. DataXchange connects directly to CNC machines, fabrication equipment, cobots, sensors, and other production assets to automatically capture machine status, utilization, downtime, alarms, and performance metrics without manual tracking. The result is less downtime, higher throughput, better accountability, and a more connected, efficient operation that supports lean initiatives, continuous improvements, and lights out manufacturing. So what is Data Display? Data Display is the browser and mobile-based version of DataXchange. Now, for those of you that have been DataXchange customers for a while, you might remember that we originally started out as a desktop-only application. Data Display is the browser and mobile-based version of that version of DataXchange. And what you're going to be seeing in the future is more of the historical features that were found in that desktop application, making their way towards Data Display. Eventually, we are going to be sunsetting the desktop application of DataXchange, and from there on out, Data Display will be the way forward for your machine monitoring needs. And as I said earlier, Data Display is mobile and browser-based, which meaning that you can access it on your phone, tablets, as well as a browser. Now, what shop floor events can you track inside of data display. So with data display, you're able to track a whole bunch of kind of common shop floor events, such as machine downtimes, which can be split up into known and unknown and planned and unplanned downtimes in data display, as well as uptime and utilization, which is machines cutting or in cycle, as well as good and scrap part counts and real-time machine status. That image that you're seeing over there on the right-hand side that says real-time equipment view, that is one of our real-time monitoring dashboards. And you can see that there's two cards with pieces of equipment in them. The one on the left is a Doosan, and that Doosan machine has been in a low override for about 17 minutes. Next to that, there is a Haas machine that has been cutting for about 13 minutes. And then below that, you can see utilization gauges, with that blue triangle being a user-demanded set utilization score. And then on the left side, you can see that on the left side, you can see that red arrow filling up to about 44%, meaning that you're not hitting that utilization goal. So when you see red in that utilization goal, that means that you're not achieving your demanded utilization rate. And when it's yellow, it's more like, you're about 70 something percent. And then if you're above that utilization goal, it's going to be green, and that could be over 75 all the way up to 100. You can also discover patterns that can eliminate production bottlenecks that you may not even be aware exist. You can receive instant notification for shop floor events as thresholds are crossed. You can also upload ideal cycle and setup times, track M0 and M1 stoppages, track breaks, alarms, and also receive accurate OE that includes planned setup times and a whole lot more. Now, with your data display machine monitoring needs, there's going to be some areas defined for use. With data display, everything is 100% user defined. So what we're looking at here is a timeline chart. And if you look over on the far right side, you will see a whole stack of machine statuses as well as their corresponding colors. With DataXchange, everything, as I said, is 100% user definable, but you can also go with the predefined colors for what they represent on one of your manufacturing charts or dashboards. So when something is in cycle or cutting, it's usually in a shade of green, and that can also be things such as low and high overrides as well as warm-ups. Planned downtimes are going to be in shades of blue, which also include things like breaks and setups. Anything that is considered an unknown downtime is going to be in a shade of orange, which if you look over there on that right-hand side, that screenshot, the far right column has showed nothing but kind of unknown downtime. And then the one on the left, that Mazak machine that you can see there, has been predominantly cutting for most of the reported time. And then finally, we have our unplanned downtime, which is custom colors, and that can be, a no material, maintenance, or alarms. Next up, we will just be discussing is who will be using data display and how. And inside of DataXchange, you can define who has access to what, including users and user groups, which are normally split up by employment levels, such as managers, operators, and supervisors. You can also divvy things up by plants and where you can add or modify physical locations, and equipment groupings where you can add or remove equipment and equipment groups, and then security permissions. So who has access to what inside of DataXchange? So for example, maybe you want your operators to not have the same access that you would give to a manager. Next up, I'd like to discuss the deployment offerings by DataXchange. So all of our deployment offerings are ITAR compliant. We used to have a third one. We just got rid of it with this week. There's going to be some changes with the Minitab acquisition. So the most common deployment option is our commercial cloud offering, which offers low overhead, low cost, and it's the easiest way to get started for trials. No hardware is required. We have some DataXchange customers getting up and collecting information in as little of about a half an hour. And then we also have an on-premise deployment type, and that's for those IT departments that are requiring an air gap where nothing leaves your facility. And you also need to have your own company-owned web and SQL server out on your shop floor collecting that information as you're not storing it in the cloud. So what can you achieve with data display. So Scytec DataXchange has many benefits. What are you looking to achieve, or what can you achieve? You can collect data from your shop floor equipment that produces real-time historical analytic reports about shop floor performance. You can also discover hidden bottlenecks as well as unknown wins in shop floor processes. We do not look at DataXchange like it is just Big Brother. It is, constantly just looking over the shoulder of your operators and stuff like that. You can also find unknown wins that you may not have been aware of. And you can see that with the metrics that are reported inside of data display. You can also reduce machine downtime, increase utilization /OEE, and get the most accurate digital twins with the Vericut integration provided by CNC Machine Connect, which consists of 3 different modules, including pre-check, CNC machine monitoring, as well as post-check. And you can also get more information from DataXchange than you would from like a typical ERP reporting system. And DataXchange also integrates with common ERP platforms such as JobBoss. And then finally, you can win new contracts, get better quoting, and meet deadlines sooner with the reported metrics that come through with data display. Next up, I'd like to discuss how you can get connected to your shop floor equipment with DataXchange. So the first item of business usually to tackle after signing up for DataXchange is, how do we connect to your machines? And we ask a few different questions that you usually provide in a machine list that includes what kind of controls are on your shop floor equipment. DataXchange has the ability to connect to proprietary machine brand protocols such as Fanuc Focus, Akuma Think, and there's a whole host of others. And why this is especially beneficial for manufacturers is that this direct protocol access has the ability to retrieve a very granular set of data that some of our machine monitoring competitors can't bring back. And if you don't have, more modern equipment with Ethernet ports on them, there's still ways to connect to just about everything that could be out on your shop floor with Scytec DataXchange. And that includes using industry standard protocols such as MT Connect or OPC-UA or Yamati as well. So let's say you have no Ethernet port, or you're using some older manual equipment or something like that. There is still a way to connect to all, as I said, everything that could be out on your shop floor with Scytec DataXchange, and that is with the status relay controller. And the status relay controller, which we affectionately call the SRC, is a PLC hardware that comes ready to go and pre-programmed to work with your legacy fabrication equipment, as well as sensors, including things like thermocouples, humidity sensors, data listeners, barcode scanners, relay, and more. Now, if you'd like to get a more in-depth kind of run through of everything, you can go to our YouTube channel, and we have a webinar titled Machines You Didn't Know That You Can Monitor that goes over in depth how we connect to certain machine types like fabrication equipment, as well as these sensors. But for those in Minitab that were here last week in our Scytec offices, and for those that we've seen out at trade shows, the way that we demonstrate this connectivity is what you're looking at here with this demonstration board, where we show how the Scytec DataXchange SRC can connect to things like stack lights, current sensors, relays, as well as temperature sensors. And I'm not going to show the entire thing, but we have a video demonstration here of how this process works. So I'm going to play this and just kind of describe a little bit of it. I'm not going to go through the entire thing. So first thing we're going to discuss is amp clamps and spindle wires. DataXchange has the ability to monitor and collect data from current off of an amp clamp. And for this demonstration, we'll be using a drill wired into the amp clamp, and it's going to be acting like a machine spindle for cycle or an older manual machine. So here is our current sensor. This is me engaging the drill, acting as if it were a machine spindle. And then you can see here in one of our real-time dashboards that after pressing that drill, you will see the drill amps increase, and then it's acting like it's going in cycle. So I'm not going to go through everything, all the other different sensor types on that demonstration board. As I said, you can go to our YouTube site and see a further demonstration as well. And for those of you at Minitab that are joining us, our CEO, Josh Davids, is coming out to you guys next week to do a demonstration of this as well. Next up, I'd like to discuss the different data exchange applications. And there's two main applications. Number one being data display, which is, I already mentioned, the browser-based reporting tool used by most of your shop floor personnel. And you can see that over there on the right with one of our real-time equipment view dashboards on that phone image. And then next up, I'd like to discuss the ODI, which is our operator data interface, which is available on the silver and above licensing levels. And the ODI takes the data exchange machine monitoring platform from being a machine monitoring outlet to a more communications platform, as you can get operator feedback for specific, unknown, and unplanned downtime, and also see machine statuses in real time. So the way that I like to describe the use of the ODI is, whatever gets automatically collected in terms of machine statuses from your equipment is only going to be able to tell you so much. So let's say, for example, that your machine has a carbide that breaks on it. It's just going to report that as unknown downtime. And that's why you need to kind of lean on your operator to be able to go in and record that downtime properly as a broken tool inside of the ODI application so that things are concurrent. So if you're interested in learning more about the operator data interface application, next month we're going to be having a dedicated webinar about that as well too. For those of you that have been longtime Data Exchange webinar enjoyers, we used to do this on the last Thursday of every month at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, but due to some kind of things with Minitab, we are going to be hosting them at basically the same time last Thursday of every month at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Next up, I'd like to go over the integration between Data Exchange and Vericut, which used to be known as Scytec Vericut. They did a rebranding about a year ago. So what is Vericut for those of you that are unaware? Vericut is a digital twin for CNC platform where basically you could have a 3D model of a CNC machine as well as the part that's cutting on it. And you can go and run through that production process as a digital twin to make sure that everything is in specification. There's no gouges. The machine doesn't crash. There's a whole lot of useful outlets for the Vericut digital twin platform. So with CNC Machine Connect, there's 3 different modules inside of this integration, including pre-check, which is basically the ability to check to make sure that things that are set up parameter and setting wise on your actual CNC machine match what is in the Vericut digital twin. Next up, we have the CNC machine monitoring module inside of Vericut. And that is more of a live streaming feature where you can kind of check all of the offsets and G-code as it populates inside of Vericut as it's cutting live. And then finally, we have post-check, which let's say you're running a lights out operation, you leave for the night and all your machines are still cutting something, and that you come in the next morning for a Gemba walk or a production meeting, and that you see that the part is out of specification or something went wrong with the cutting process. With post-check, you can go and replay all of that cutting through Vericut to see exactly where things went wrong. Next up, I'd like to discuss the notification feature set inside of Scytec DataXchange and how that relates to data display. So there's 3 different ways that you can receive notifications for shop floor events, and that is via Microsoft Teams, text, and email. And messages are sent to whom you demand after events and thresholds you define are crossed or met. As I said, everything inside of Scytec DataXchange is 100% user defined. So a good use case for this, and I like using this example quite a bit, is let's say after a half an hour of machine downtime, one of your operators gets a notification alerting them that that machine has been in that unknown downtime. Along with that, there's also the ability for escalation tactics. So let's say after that half hour that transpires into an hour, So DataXchange will then send a notification to somebody higher up as like a manager or a supervisor or something like that. And then after 2-3 hours, even can notify like the CEO of your job shop or something. So there's a lot of messaging templates that you can configure inside of DataXchange from after you learn how to use them, but there's also some pre-canned ones. And when you're doing your onboarding process with Scytec, we help you configure these messaging templates out from the get-go so that you are solving your specific shop floor needs. Next up, I'm going to be talking about the viewing methods for data display. So what you're looking at here is from a bunch of our current DataXchange customers and how you're supposed to use the dashboards and charts inside of data display is to have them hanging from a ceiling on TVs or on a tripod. And these are a few, as I said, of our current DataXchange customers that are using their real-time machine monitoring dashboards in different cells, where different cells have different machines inside of them, and are reporting that the metrics that are indicative of the machines that are inside of their cells. So how you get data display on a TV is by using something that you're looking at here, which is a Melee Mini PC. We actually recommend using the 16 gigabyte Melee Mini PC that's fanless, as there is normally in your shop floor, there's a bunch of things kind of floating around in the air, such as coolant and other particulates. The fanless model will make sure that it doesn't get kind of gummed up with that stuff. And then there used to be some kind of lower end storage models, such as a 4 and 8 gigabyte model for these Melee Mini PCs. We actually, due to how big that the Windows operating system is getting these days, we actually recommend that you use a 16 gigabyte model now. And you're not beholden to use a Melee Mini PC. It's just what we recommend. Really, any mini PC will work. These things are very cost effective too, even with some of the price changes in RAM. I was just looking at them earlier today. This screenshot was taken sometime last year and shows that it's like $212. They're still kind of under $300 as of reporting. Next up, I'm going to be showing you some of the charts and dashboards and what the information is being reported. And then I'm going to be going into our demonstration of data display. So I want you to think about charts as really kind of more of historical reporting. And some of the charts that I'm going to be showing you in our demonstration include the timeline, the equipment status summary, a downtime summary, as well as a Pareto chart. And as I kind of talked about earlier, everything is user defined. So what you're looking at over there on the right is all of the reported machine statuses that are going to populate in one of your charts. And we can see things like unknown downtime, waiting for operator, normal cycle, alarms, etc. When you look at the chart and you see those colors, those are the machine statuses that are getting represented. Next up, I'm going to be discussing the real-time dashboards, including the RTV, as well as our equipment view. And the real-time dashboards show both historical and real-time information. And then finally, we have our RTV Designer. Now, once again, for those of you that have been longtime DataXchange customers, you might remember that the RTV Designer was originally found in the desktop application. The RTV Designer in Data Display is a newer offering that was officially released in November of 2025, and it is how you will be designing your RTV's views going forward. We're going to be having a special webinar where I will show you how to kind of set this stuff up in April. And this is, kind of a new thing. So if you're looking to get some exposure to this, please reach out to Scytec support. We are gradually rolling this out to more of our customers, but if you'd like to get some more support, we had some very interested parties back in November. But if you'd like to see more about this or get some exposure to us, as I said, please feel free to reach out to Scytec support. All right, from here, I'm going to be doing our data display walkthrough. So what we're looking at here is the data display landing page, which houses all of the different downloads for your machine monitoring products, including ODI if you are on the silver and above licensing level, as well as the mobile download for data display, and then also the ability to access the browser-based data display version here. So once you click on this one here in the top left corner, you're going to be greeted to where you input your account credentials as well as login and username. I'm sorry, login and password. So the first chart that I'm going to be going over here today is our timeline chart. So what you want to do first is select a time frame up here, and there's a ton of different filtering options. So I would like to see a reported set of metrics for the last working week. So the last 5 days, which will start on February the 21st at 12 a.m. and then end at February the 26th at 12 a.m. And then over here on the right, you can see all the selected equipment. We have quite a few that is selected, but what I want to do, so over here on the left, you have all of your available equipment. I'm going to select our Fort Collins plant. And then as you can see, it is now populated inside of the selected equipment bar over here. And when I go and populate this chart, it's going to show me all the metrics for this specific set of equipment. There's some other filtering that you can do down here in terms of what is reported in terms of specific or general cycle information, as well as specific and general planned and unplanned downtimes. We always recommend here at Scytec to show the specific for everything, as it gives you a better idea of what's actually going on in your shop floor, as well as some options for how you display the information. And then once you're kind of used to setting up all this filtering and getting the information that you want, you can come down here to your save chart options. And this basically prevents you from having to do all the same filtering over and over, where if you need to have this access to this kind of chart every day, that you can go in and title it, and then it'll populate out in the save chart options section. I will save chart section. I will show you here in just a little bit. So let's say you go and you get all the different filtering that you want done for this timeline chart. You can come up here and click on the chart icon. Now, what this timeline chart is showing you, it shows a time frame of all of your different machine statuses. So as I said, this is the last working week of all of your equipment from our Fort Collins plant, which includes a FANUC 31i, a Siemens 840D, a DMG Mori, and some other machines as well. And then over here on the right, you can see all of the reported machine statuses that are in this chart, including unknown downtime, M0, waiting for an operator, normal cycle, alarm, and more. And what you can also do here in this timeline chart is select a specific kind of like area of time that you want to get kind of a little bit more granular detail, and you can drill down in here and select it, and this will zoom in, showing you when you hover over it. For this manual machine here, we have a unknown downtime that transpired for close to 16 hours, 4 minutes and 31 seconds. And then underneath that, we can also see that we had a little block of time for 2 hours, 21 minutes and 8 seconds for predictive or preventative maintenance. And we can go over here to our FANUC 31i machine and see that where we hover over with our little cursor, that what is getting reported on here is waiting for an operator for 6 hours and 26 minutes. So let's go back out here to our landing page for everything. And I probably should have started out with this first, but this is your data display launchpad, which hosts all of your different charts, reports, Excel exports, your real-time manufacturing dashboards, your save charts. Like I said, once you go and do all that filtering and you save that chart, it'll populate here in this section, as well as your save reports. Same kind of idea for that. When you go do a bunch of filtering for a report, it'll pop up in here. And then finally down here at the bottom, your RTV view section. So your reports are basically the exact same as your charts inside of data display. However, everything that was represented visually as a chart is now represented numerically in a report. So the next chart that I'm going to show you is going to be our equipment status summary chart. And once again, we have all of our filtering options up here where we can select the available equipment that we have, as well as the specific and general cycle statuses, and then your viewing options as well here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this chart. And basically what this chart shows you, it shows you the same information as before
with your timeline chart. But this time the information is grouped as percentages for all of the available time. So what you're looking at here is the same 5-day reporting period, but everything is grouped as percentages. So for this FANUC 31i machine, over 5 days, we can see that normal cutting or normal cycles, such as your machine cutting, has taken up about 50% of the available time. And then as well, we can come up here and hover over this machine status and see that over a 5-day period, close to 20% or 27% of the available time was in an M0 waiting for an operator. So the last chart that I'm going to show you up here from our chart section is our downtime Pareto chart. So once again, we have all of our selected equipment and some of the other filters for the different machine statuses that we would like to see populated in this chart here. Tons of other options that I don't have the time to get into today. But for those of you that are unaware with the Pareto rule, you might know it as the 80-20%, basically stating that 80% of problems can be solved with 20% of solutions. It dates back to an Italian bean farmer that noticed that, 20% of the solutions applied to his crops fixed 80% of the problems. So let's go ahead and create this chart. And if you go over here from left to right, you can basically see what are the biggest issues that are currently affecting your shop floor. So with the reported downtimes that are, the heavy hitters going from left to right, we have waiting for operators, which took up in the same available time as 32 hours, 21 minutes and 16 seconds with 55 occurrences, and that accumulating for 46% of your total downtimes. Next up, we have tooling, which there's 5 different occurrences showing that is taken up a total of 13 hours of available time, and that is accumulated for 19% of your total downtime. And then going down the list, we can see that we also have alarms and then also preventative maintenance. So what this downtime Pareto chart shows you, just to kind of sum it up, is what is the biggest issues, and that if you go after these issues, things should be running a whole lot smoother out on your shop floor. So next up, I'd like to discuss our real-time dashboards that we have. We have 3 of them right now. We have the real-time list, the equipment view, and the equipment summation list. There's a ton to go over here in this data display launchpad, but really what I'd like to show you is the most useful one, which is the equipment view. And the equipment view was one of those images that you saw on the TV for our DataXchange current customers that I showed you. This is a very good thing to have inside of a break room or out on the shop floor on a TV, equipped with one of those little mini PCs that we talked about, showing you all the necessary metrics that need to be reported. So once again, you do the usual filtering. However, everything in this view is broken up into cards based off of the machinery that is getting reported. And the way that you show the necessary metrics that you were looking for in this is in our current value section here. And there's a ton of different toggles that you can turn on and off in here, including things like the general equipment status, the start and stop dates for specific machine statuses, the utilization percentage, part per hour percentage and plans, part numbers, work order numbers, all sorts of different things that you can turn on and off here. As I said, everything in DataXchange is 100% user defined and meant to solve the issues out on your shop floor. So let's go ahead and look at what this real-time dashboard looks like. So as you're looking at it right now, you see 4 different equipment cards, including a Siemens 840D machine, a Mazak machine, a Makino, and a Star, as well as what is the current machine status for each of these. So our 840D Siemens machine has currently been in a high override for 4 minutes. The Mazak machine has just started in an unknown downtime, which is why it's reporting as 0. And now it is cutting again. So it's just started. You just saw that. It is now cutting and is back into a normal cycle. The Makino machine is in an unknown downtime and has been in that downtime for close to 3.5 hours. So there's some other reported metrics that you can see here, such as your part per hour plan. As I said, that's that current value toggles, which you can turn those on and off. And it's showing us the required metrics and things that we are looking to see, such as part numbers, the amount of good parts that have been created, what is going into your part per hour plan, as well as a breakdown up here at the top of all the different machine statuses. So we can see that 47% of our available time has been in an unknown downtime, which you just saw it turn into, as well as 53% up here in this top line of being in cycle. So of that being in cycle or cutting, 38% of that has been in a normal cutting cycle, and then 15% of that, making up that 53%, is also been in a high override. So this is our real-time equipment view, and as I said, this is meant to go out on a TV out on your shop floor so that everybody can, look up at the ceiling or something like that, or look at a TV on a tripod and see exactly what is going on. And this is good for people that are working inside of a cell that have the responsibility of more than one different machine. And it's also common to see this view inside of a break room as well as executive suites. And you also have the ability with data display to monitor this stuff from afar via your browser. So if you're not on site, you can see exactly what is going on with your shop floor production. So finally, in this demonstration, I would like to discuss the RTV, which is another one of our real-time dashboards. And this is also 100% user configurable. And the best way to kind of describe everything is just to go ahead and show it. So the RTV has the ability to break up all of the different charts and reports that you have inside of your data display launchpad and combine those into one specific view. So what we are looking at here is a view specifically dedicated towards alarms. And you can see up at the chart up at the top. So in this little ribbon bar up here at the top, you're going to see a bunch of different names for the specific RTV views with a corresponding number. The 3 above the alarm up here indicates that there's 3 different charts in this view. So the one here up at the top, it is showing us a breakdown of all the different alarms. And if you start over here on the left, we can see a specific piece of equipment followed by the alarm type, the alarm code, the description of that alarm, the duration of that alarm, and also the quantity of those different alarms, how much time they've taken up, and some other metrics as well. And then below that, you can see some specific alarm Pareto views showing us the, as I mentioned earlier with the Pareto kind of rule, that the biggest issues in terms of alarms going from left to right in their specific alarm code. So with this little ribbon bar up here, you can create enough RTV views to your heart's desire, and they will populate up here. And then once they fill up, you can have a little section in here as well for your other RTV views to kind of like overflow into. And you can also have this on a TV as well, where if you come over here and play or hit this little play button, it'll rotate through all these different views at like a user determined interval, usually of about like 10 seconds. So another very common view I'd like to show you here real quick for your RTV real-time viewer is the shop floor layout view. This is something very common that we advocate for our manufacturers that use DataXchange here at Scytec to use. What you're looking at is basically a bird's eye top-down schematic view of all of the machinery that would be out on your shop floor. So if we start at like basically 12 o'clock there in the center, what we have is an Akuma machine that is currently in a low override. With this shop floor layout, you can have a bunch of reported metrics as well. Oh, sorry. And then going in a clockwise motion, next to that, we have a Doosan machine that is currently in an unknown downtime. Below that is a Star machine, and so on and so forth. You can also get all the other different reported metrics, such as, like good and scrap part counts, the part programs that are getting worked on, etc., in this view as well. Now, what's really nice about the shop floor layout view is that you can use just about any image. It doesn't have to be necessarily this top-down schematic view of things. We also like this one to show off as well, which is our 3D model of 2 different CNC machines as well as a cobot. So on the one on the left, we have a FANUC 31i machine that is currently in a normal cycle, how long it has been in that normal cycle, the different part numbers that is getting worked on, as well as its feed rate overrides that are getting tracked in that. So basically what's very nice about the RTV real-time viewer is that you can set up all sorts of different views inside of
any of these screens and configure them however you would like to for your machine monitoring reporting needs. So that about wraps it up for the data display walkthrough. As you can see, there's tons of different save charts and reports and all sorts of other stuff like that that we can get into, but unfortunately we don't have enough time to get into all of that today. If you have any questions, feel free to type them into that Zoho little heads up display, and our product specialist, Chris Hamlin, will be answering them. As well as at the end here, I'm going to suggest that if you're interested, for those of you that are Minitab customers that you've been pointed here, because you guys have some CNC equipment that you'd like to be monitoring, as well as those just interested in DataXchange itself. I'm going to go back here to my PowerPoint. And I'd like to end this webinar off with some kind of things for further outreach. If you're interested in learning more, we host all of our webinars online, as well as DataXchange feature videos, case studies, update playlists, and stuff like that on our YouTube channel. So that's a very good resource to learn more about Scytec DataXchange. Finally, I'd like to go over the upcoming webinars that we are going to be having here in the next couple of months. As I mentioned earlier, we have a shop floor accuracy with ODI at the end of March on Thursday, March 26th at 11 a.m. And then in April, we are going to be having RTV-driven results, where I'm going to be doing a lot more deep dive into the RTV as well as the RTV Designer. So as I said, if you're a current DataXchange customer and you'd like to get some more exposure to that RTV Designer, do not hesitate to reach out to us here at Scytec. Contact our support channel, and we will gladly walk you through everything. And then finally, for those of you that are either new to DataXchange or lifelong customers, I always like pointing this out. We are definitely here to support you in your machine monitoring and factory improvement needs here at Scytec. We do also offer a website that we call Scytec University, which can be found at dxhelp.scytec.com. This has a breakdown of everything DataXchange related, including video tutorials, how different roles in your shop floor can use DataXchange to improve your OEE and other stuff like that, as well as kind of typical scenarios for how you can use the DataXchange machine monitoring platform. So if you are a current DataXchange user, a lifelong user, feel free to go and head over to dxhelp.scytec.com, where you can learn about all things DataXchange. And then finally, that kind of wraps it up. As I said, if you have any questions, please type those in. And Chris, if you have any questions you'd like to answer now, feel free. I'm going to give it about a couple minutes, but the last thing I'd like to point out here is that if you're interested in going into a lot more depth and detail, and you have some very specific technical questions in terms of machine connectivity, how you'd like to utilize DataXchange at your plant, please follow this link at scytec.com/getting DataXchange/OEE software demo. Or you can just scan that QR code. If you have an Apple phone, you can just open up the camera on that, click on it, and it should take you right to the landing page for how you can fill out a demo form. And what's really nice about our demo process is that you can kind of give us an idea about the machinery and like the shop floor processes, what you make, and we'll have a specifically tailored demonstration as to how the DataXchange and data display machine monitoring products can help you out. Well, that wraps it up here for this month's data display webinar. Thank you all for joining us. I hope to see you all out here next month. And yeah, have a wonderful rest of your Thursday.